Captain Elias Kane's boots crunched over the jagged rocks as he made his way toward the cliffside settlement. The wind carried a metallic tang, almost like electricity, and the strange blue-tinged plants swayed violently as if they sensed his presence. He squinted at the horizon, where a small cluster of structures glimmered under the twin suns. He had been sent to this remote planet to investigate rumors of rare energy crystals that could revolutionize human technology. What he did not expect was to encounter someone like Liara. Liara was talked about in hushed tones among the villagers. She lived on the edge of the cliff in a home that seemed almost alive. People said she was kind but reclusive, often helping those in need while avoiding large crowds. Elias had not yet met her, but the moment he arrived, whispers followed him, curious eyes peeking from behind rough stone walls. As he approached the house, Elias noticed its unusual structure. It was not built like human homes. Smooth curves and sharp angles merged, forming a strange harmony. Bioluminescent plants spiraled along the walls, their soft glow giving the house an almost magical appearance. The door opened before he could knock, and a figure stepped out. Liara was taller than most humans, her skin a gentle shade of lavender that shimmered faintly under the suns. Her eyes glowed softly, an amber light that seemed to see straight through him. She smiled, and it was warm, disarming. "You must be Captain Elias Kane," she said, her voice melodic but strong. "I have been expecting you. Please come in. You must be tired from your journey." Elias hesitated for a moment. Something about her seemed almost too perfect. Yet her demeanor was inviting, sincere. He stepped inside. The interior of the house was unlike anything he had seen. Soft flowing light replaced lamps, and walls were adorned with floating symbols that pulsed gently. Elias noticed subtle movements in the shadows. Small mechanical creatures, perhaps, or something alive. The air itself seemed charged, humming softly as if the house breathed. "Your home is remarkable," Elias said cautiously, scanning the room. Liara inclined her head. "It is old. My family built it generations ago. It is a place of peace, and I like to share it with travelers who come with good intentions." Elias studied her carefully. She did not seem threatening, but the curiosity that had driven him through countless dangerous missions made him vigilant. "I appreciate your hospitality. The journey here was challenging." Liara led him to a room where a low table was surrounded by soft, cushion-like seats. On the table were dishes he had never seen before, glowing faintly and giving off a subtle aroma that filled the room. As they ate, she spoke of her planet, her culture, and the challenges her people faced. She mentioned past invasions from neighboring worlds and how the planet's energy was a treasure that outsiders often sought. Elias listened, fascinated, but a part of him remained cautious. Her words were smooth, almost too carefully chosen. After the meal, Liara offered to show him the rest of the house. She moved with elegance, and Elias had to admit, the house seemed to respond to her presence. Doors opened before she reached them, lights adjusted, and small devices hummed softly, moving like obedient pets. Elias's curiosity got the better of him. As Liara paused to show him a window overlooking the cliffside, he slipped away to explore a narrow corridor that seemed less traveled. At the end, he found a door that did not match the rest of the house. It was darker, colder, and emitted a faint vibration. He tried the handle; it was locked. But as he studied it, a soft panel shifted, revealing a small keyhole. Careful not to alert Liara, he picked the lock. The door opened to a room filled with devices that glowed with strange energy. Some resembled human machines, but others were organic, pulsing as if alive. Screens displayed symbols he could not understand, and a central device radiated energy he could feel in his bones. Elias stepped back. This room was not for simple hospitality. Whoever had built it had knowledge far beyond human technology. He considered calling out to Liara, but something stopped him. He needed answers first. At that moment, Liara appeared at the doorway. Her eyes were calm, but there was a hint of tension. "I see you have found my private chamber," she said softly. "These devices are for protecting the planet." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Protecting it? From whom?" "From those who would harm it," she replied, walking closer. "I cannot risk outsiders taking what should remain safe. My people have seen too much destruction. I am cautious by necessity." He nodded slowly. "I understand caution. But these devices, they seem capable of more than just protection." Liara's lips curved slightly, almost a sad smile. "Perhaps. But it is not my wish to harm anyone. I only wish to ensure this world remains untouched by greed and violence. Elias studied her. There was truth in her words, but also something she was not saying. The room hummed almost impatiently, as if aware of his skepticism. He realized that Liara's innocence was carefully crafted, like a mask she wore for those who entered her home. He left the room without touching anything, returning to the living area. Liara did not ask him what he had seen, but her eyes lingered on him with a quiet intensity. Over the next hour, they spoke more casually, sharing stories of their pasts. Elias noticed small inconsistencies in her stories, but they were subtle. Slight shifts in her tone, pauses that seemed intentional. As the suns began to set, Liara led him to a balcony overlooking the cliffs. The view was breathtaking. Waves of mist rolled over the rocks below, and the sky glowed with colors that made human sunsets look dull. Elias felt a moment of peace, almost forgetting the tension that had accompanied him since he arrived. "I never expected to meet anyone like you here," he admitted. Liara smiled, the glow in her eyes softening. "And I never expected a human to come so far, seeking knowledge and understanding rather than conquest." "It is rare." Elias felt a flicker of trust. Perhaps she was truly innocent, as the villagers said, but a small part of him, the part trained to survive in the unknown, could not ignore the signs. The hidden room, the advanced devices, the careful control of the house, it all suggested she had power far beyond her appearance. As night fell, Elias decided to stay in the guest room. The bed was simple, yet comfortable, and the room hummed softly with the same strange energy as the rest of the house. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything he had seen. He knew one thing for certain. Liara was not as innocent as she appeared, but he could not yet tell if she was a threat or an ally. The next morning he woke to find breakfast prepared. Liara entered with her usual grace and warmth. "I hope you slept well," she said. "Very well," Elias replied. "And you?" "As always," she said, smiling. "I trust you will enjoy your stay today. There is much to see, and the cliffs hold secrets few have witnessed." Elias nodded, masking the tension that coiled in his chest. He had to play this carefully. He needed to learn the truth about Liara and her devices before deciding how to proceed. But one thing was clear. Whatever happened next, he was not dealing with an ordinary alien. As they walked toward the cliffside garden, Elias's eyes caught a shimmer beneath the soil, barely noticeable yet unmistakable. Something moved there, alive, and it reacted to his presence. Liara noticed his gaze but said nothing. He realized then that her home, her planet, and perhaps Liara herself were more than they seemed. The line between innocence and calculation was blurred, and Elias knew he had only scratched the surface of the mysteries surrounding the alien woman who had invited him into her home. For now, he would observe, learn, and prepare. Tomorrow he would uncover more, and perhaps by then, he would finally understand whether Liara's invitation was truly friendly, or a trap in disguise. Elias woke early, the soft hum of Liara's house filling the room like a quiet heartbeat. The twin suns had barely risen, casting gentle light across the cliffside. His mind was restless. Last night's discoveries, the hidden room, the advanced devices, and that strange shimmer in the garden had unsettled him. Yet he knew he had to remain cautious. Liara's kindness could be real, but the signs suggested she was hiding something powerful and potentially dangerous. By the time he arrived in the main hall for breakfast, Liara was already preparing the table. Her movements were fluid, graceful, almost hypnotic. She turned as he entered, offering a soft smile. "Good morning, Captain. Did you rest well?" "Better than I expected," Elias replied, though his mind was alert, scanning for any unusual signs. "And you?" "As always," she said lightly. "The energy of the house keeps me strong." He nodded, keeping his tone casual. He needed information, not suspicion. Over breakfast, Liara spoke of the cliffs, the rare flora, and the legends of her people. Her voice was soothing, almost musical, but Elias's eyes kept drifting to subtle details. The faint glow in the walls, the movements of the bioluminescent plants that seemed to react to his presence, and the soft vibrations he could feel in the floor beneath his feet. After finishing the meal, Liara suggested a walk to the cliffs. Elias agreed, though he remained vigilant. As they stepped outside, the air was crisp and tinged with an electric charge. The cliffs dropped dramatically to the misty valley below, the rocks glinting as if sprinkled with tiny crystals. "This place is incredible," Elias said, unable to hide his awe. "It feels alive." "It is," Liara replied. "The energy flows through everything here. It has to, or the planet would not survive the storms that sweep across it." Elias followed her to a section of the cliff he had not seen before. There, embedded in the rock, were small, intricate devices, barely noticeable unless one was close. As he examined them, the energy shimmer he had seen the night before reacted. A small pulse of light traveled along the devices and vanished. "What are these?" he asked, curious but cautious. "Defensive measures," Liara said, her voice calm. "They protect the cliffs from erosion, from intruders, and from those who would take the planet's energy without care. They are subtle, almost invisible, but effective." Elias studied her carefully. Her explanation was plausible, but the hidden room and its devices from the previous day suggested she had capabilities far beyond what she revealed. As they walked back toward the house, Elias pretended to admire the garden, but his mind was calculating. He needed to understand the extent of her control and whether it could be used against him. Once inside, he feigned interest in one of the floating symbols on the wall, waiting to see if she would react unusually. Liara, noticing his gaze, approached. "Curious, are you?" she asked softly. "Yes," Elias replied, masking his suspicion. "This energy, it's unlike anything I've seen. How does it work?" Liara smiled faintly. "It responds to intent. Those who seek to harm cannot touch it. Those with good intentions can observe and even interact with it. It is a reflection of the heart, as much as of technology." Elias considered her words. If true, it explained why the house had remained so calm despite his exploration yesterday, but he knew better than to rely solely on appearances. Later that evening, while Liara was occupied preparing dinner, Elias quietly returned to the corridor leading to the hidden room. He could hear faint pulses of energy behind the door. Carefully, he opened it, revealing the room once more. The devices inside were more active than before, their glow brighter, responding as if sensing his presence. He approached the central device, noting its intricate patterns and subtle movements. It seemed almost alive. Then, he noticed a screen that displayed not symbols but faint outlines of shapes. Creatures, humans, even Liara herself. He realized with a chill that the devices were monitoring the environment outside, the cliffs, the settlement, and perhaps even him. Before he could investigate further, Liara entered the room. Her expression was calm, but her eyes glowed slightly brighter than before. "You came back," she said simply. "Yes," Elias admitted. "I wanted to understand. These devices, they are more advanced than anything humanity has created. They can see everything." "They can," Liara confirmed, "but they see only what I allow. My goal is to protect, not harm. I have learned from the mistakes of those who came before. Trust is rare, and I cannot risk being careless." Elias studied her. "I understand caution, but it seems you also test outsiders." Liara's gaze softened. "Perhaps. I need to know if those who enter my home can be allies or threats. You have shown care, curiosity, and restraint. That is why you have been allowed to see this." Elias nodded slowly, the tension in his chest easing slightly. "Then perhaps we can find a way to work together. If your goal is protection, I can help. I know humans who could benefit from this energy, but who would also respect your planet." Liara tilted her head, considering his words. "And you trust them?" "I trust humans to learn," Elias replied. "We are capable of mistakes, but also capable of growth. We can understand if given the chance." For the first time, Liara smiled fully, her glow softening. "You speak wisely, Elias Kane. Perhaps I misjudged your kind. Perhaps there is hope for cooperation. Over the next days, Elias worked alongside Liara. He observed how she managed the energy devices, learned the subtle rules of the planet, and even contributed small insights from human engineering. Slowly, trust grew between them. Liara realized that control and isolation were not the only ways to protect the planet. Human reasoning, creativity, and honesty could be allies, not threats. One night, as they stood on the balcony overlooking the cliffs, a storm rolled in. Lightning flashed, revealing the vastness of the valley below, the jagged rocks, and the energy pulses flowing across the cliffs. Elias placed a hand on the railing, feeling the hum of the planet beneath him. "This planet is incredible," he said. "Its power, it's alive." "Yes," Liara said, "but life is fragile. That is why I feared outsiders. That is why I relied on control. But you have shown me another way." Elias smiled. "Sometimes protection comes from understanding, not fear. Humans and aliens can learn from each other." The storm passed, leaving a calm, luminous night in its wake. Together, they observed the gentle shimmer of energy flowing through the plants and rocks, the harmony of the planet restored by careful guidance and trust. In the following weeks, Elias documented everything he could about the planet, the devices, and Liara's methods. He prepared a report for human authorities, but he also prepared something more important: a bridge of trust between two species. Liara, once wary and suspicious, had become a genuine ally, willing to share her knowledge and protect the planet alongside humans who respected her intentions. Before departing, Elias and Liara stood once more at the edge of the cliff. The suns were rising, painting the horizon in brilliant hues. "You will return?" Liara asked, a question not just about him, but about humanity. "Yes," Elias said. "Not as a conqueror, but as a friend. We will protect this place together." Liara's eyes glowed warmly, the tension of past fears replaced by hope. "Then perhaps my caution was too great. Perhaps the world is ready for cooperation." Elias smiled, taking one last look at the cliffs, the glowing plants, and the house that seemed alive with energy. "It is," he said, "and I am glad I came." As he boarded his ship, the hum of the engines blending with the quiet pulse of Liara's home, Elias reflected on the lessons he had learned. Appearances could be deceiving, power could be overwhelming, but understanding, courage, and human ingenuity could bridge even the greatest divides. Liara watched him leave, a soft glow surrounding her as she turned back toward the house. She knew now that trust, once given, could grow into something far stronger than control. And for the first time, she felt confident that her planet and its energy could be safe not just through isolation but through cooperation. As the ship disappeared into the distance, Elias's figure framed against the horizon. The cliffs shimmered with energy, alive, vibrant, and full of promise. A human had come, and a friendship had begun. The galaxy was changing, and this small remote planet was ready to embrace it. Elias knew that the next time he returned, it would not be as a visitor, but as a partner. And Liara, once cautious and wary, now stood ready to welcome him, not with fear, but with hope. The adventure had begun with an invitation. What seemed innocent at first had revealed truth, trust, and the power of understanding. Together, human and alien could shape a future that neither species could achieve alone. And so, the story of Elias Kane and Liara, the human who saw beyond appearances, and the alien who learned to trust, became the first chapter of a new era. One of cooperation, discovery, and hope, where the galaxy could finally see that humans, despite their flaws, were capable of greatness when guided by wisdom, courage, and the desire to do good.